What's up, guys? Dustin back with another video, and today we are talking about working at Applebee's. Working for corporations suck. So, to start the story of working at Applebee's, let's go into the me applying to job applications process. I applied to a bunch of jobs at this time, and two places that I applied to called me back for interviews. One was Applebee's, the other one was Aldi's. I opted for the kitchen job to really go for their interview, and I chose them over that, and I got hired. And of course, knowing me, you guys know me by now, it's my second cup today. So far. I have more. Second cup of coffee. I applied to be a dishwasher, and I was hired originally to do that, but then once I actually came in for the interview, or I wasn't hired, I was being interviewed for that. And as soon as the interview started, I was told, hey, we don't really need a dishwasher, so we're going to have you do prep if you want. And I said, sure, why not? I did that at the previous place. Because Applebee's took place right after I had left the crazy restaurant by the water where I got into the fight with the guy and he got kicked out by security, and I was working at the salad station. And like I said, I liked that job, but after I quit, I worked at one place for like a week. Didn't really get paid technically. Where's my money? And then I jumped right into Applebee's. So let's get into that. So I was hired. I was originally contacted for be a dishwasher, and it quickly turned into me being a prep guy. And not bad of a job per se, but then looking back, kind of was. So just to break it down real quick, the following I'm going to tell you is not to be like. It's not a negative way. But I worked under two people as a prep person. They were a couple, an older Mexican couple. And I don't mean that in like a bad way. It just, I have to kind of explain that because learning under them, I really didn't do that much prep at the other restaurants. Like I did a little bit here and there, but this is my first like corporate, like you have to do everything by the book type of place. So I didn't really have any experience with that. So learning under them, they were great people, very nice and friendly. I just couldn't really learn under them because a lot of times there was like a language barrier between me and them. And sometimes when they would explain something to me, I would hear what they said, do what they said or what I thought they said. And it turned out it wasn't what they actually said. So it was a lot of confusion on my part just because a lot of times I couldn't understand what they were trying to communicate with me. And I think a lot of times the same with them and me. So I told the managers that, and they would sometimes explain things to me, but a lot of times not really be that helpful, the managers. So with that out of the way, I worked with those two guys. They were still fine. Like I said, they were friendly. They helped me out the best they could, and I helped them out the best I could. The kitchen manager who hired me asked me if I wanted to work on the line to get some extra hours, and I said, okay, I would try that. Really wasn't for it. And I was originally told, okay, in about a week, you're going to start working the line. That literally turned into that Friday night. It was a Friday night, and I was told, okay, next Friday, we might have you work on the line. I'm like, hey, that's cool. And then a couple hours later, they said, oh, if you want to stay tonight, we'll just have you work the line tonight. And I was like, oh, okay. Got there at like 7 or 8 in the morning. And then I started working the line at like 6 at night. It was a Friday night. My first time working the line, they had me assist the guys on the fryers. And like, I worked a little bit on the line at some other restaurants, like very little here and there. But not really any experience. Like I'd help out very little. And the first time looking at the Applebee's screen where all the orders come in on a screen, they were just popping up every 5 seconds. A bunch of orders would come up, and I didn't even know how to read the screen properly. Things were flashing in a certain color, things were like staying still, so I didn't know what anything meant. And very quickly, I just lost my mind working on that line on a Friday night at Applebee's. So many appetizers were coming in, and I just didn't know how to do anything. To the point where I would just stare at the screen and be so lost. And eventually the store manager told me just to go home if I wanted to. She actually asked if I wanted to go home, and I said yeah. So when I came in the next day of working, my kitchen manager told me that I would have reduced hours, but basically the same hours I had before, and I couldn't get extra hours because he was trying to give me like a full schedule with working on the line. And I just told him I wasn't really interested, and he said I'm not going to have a full-time schedule, and I said that is perfectly fine. I'll deal with what I have. So basically for the entire time working there, the 4 or 5 months I was there, for the most part, I just worked 20 hours and less a week, which I needed more money than that. I really should have just got a different job because I really just did not like. I did not like the environment. I didn't like the job. And we're going to get into reasons why. Now, obviously, Applebee's is a corporation, right? So they would have a lot of corporate guys walking in all the time. And that would never really bother me because at that point, I just didn't care if I lost a job or not. So I was never in fear of getting fired because ultimately I wasn't making a lot of money. I didn't want to be there anyway. So if I got fired, it would just force me to get another job, which is ended up what happening. But it would get to the point where it's so funny that everyone, except me, would literally freak out when people from corporate would show up. I mean, the cooks on the line would literally throw dishes in the hallway right next to where we would prep. Just bins and bins full of dirty dishes on the floor, whatever. I mean, not a big deal, right? But when corporate walked in and they knew they were coming, or when they walked in the door they knew they were here, you should have seen the cooks literally run to the dishes, pick them up, and throw them to the dish pit really fast, freaking out because they were just thrown everywhere and the floor was dirty. And obviously, if corporate saw that, they would not be happy because there's dirty dishes all over the place. So that would actually entertain the hell out of me because, like I said, I didn't like the job. So anytime people would freak out over corporate coming in, I would just relax, do what I'm doing anyway. And really, if corporate ever asked me why I was doing something a certain way, I'd just be like, I was never properly trained. And I told managers that I needed to be explained better how to do my job because of the miscommunication, that issue I was having with my people I worked under, which I've said in this video. Like, nothing against them. It's just, that was the reality of this job. I wasn't fully doing my best job I could be doing because a lot of the things that managers would get mad at me for, I was never taught. Like when we make mashed potatoes, we would have to temperature them every hour or so. For the first couple months, no one ever told me that. And then all of a sudden, all the managers kept getting mad at me for not temperaturing, doing the temps and everything. They're like, why aren't you temping? And I was like, well, no one ever told me how to. No one told me we had to. I never saw people doing it. They would literally just write random numbers at each hour. They wouldn't actually temp it. They would do like one time and make numbers up, but I never did that. So they would try to show me, but then they get mad if I didn't do it. It's like, sorry, you guys, like the entire time I've been working here, we're not doing it this way, but now all of a sudden we are. I didn't adapt well to the whole corporate thing. There were a couple of instances where the management team would really get under my skin. There was like, every time I would be prepping something, if one manager needed something, they all needed something at the same exact time. I can remember vividly prepping some barbecue pork or something for like sliders. And the first manager that came up to me, he needed that. So I said, no problem, I'll make it as fast as I can, because he said they were out. So while I'm trying to prep that, a second manager comes up and says, oh, I need you to do dishes right now. Like, you have to do dishes right now. And I said, no, I'm prepping this right now. Like, the other manager told me I need to prep this right now. He needs it right now, so I need to do this. And he's like, well, I need you to do dishes. We need dishes done right now. We need dishes. And I'm like, sorry, I don't care what you need. I'm doing this first, and then maybe I'll do it. So then the kitchen, or the actual store manager, came up to me and said, we need dishes. And she had a very not nice tone with it. And I get it, you know. She was freaking out because they were out of a lot of stuff and they needed dishes done. I get it. But I was literally told to do something. And then she asked for the same thing. She wanted dishes done. And I said, I can't. I'm doing this right now. And she had a bad tone. I had a bad tone. And the next thing you know, we're basically screaming in each other's faces. And then I did dishes, whatever. Like I said, whatever. You don't want me to prep the food and I'll just do dishes or whatever. I was hired to be a dishwasher, but you guys told me not to be a dishwasher. Now you guys want me to be a dishwasher. And I literally screamed, I'm not a dishwasher. So then I ended up doing some dishes, I guess. And then we really got into a bad shouting match. And then afterwards, we kind of both apologized to each other. And then, like, it was weird. Like, I wasn't fired right away. I wasn't even, like, suspended or anything like that. She kind of understood where I was coming from. And I understood where she was coming from. And we made up. And, like, we were fine ever since then. It was really weird how, like, every time in a restaurant, I guess because a restaurant business is so, like, chaotic and stressful, where people kind of, like, you know, yell at each other and then make up. It's kind of like, okay, we both need to relax. Like, we'll get through this kind of thing. It's just weird how, like, you'd be so mad at somebody, yell at them, and they would yell back, and then all of a sudden, like the next day, it's just like everything's normal, and then you get kind of closer with the person because you kind of just try to look out for each other and like try to work together to get through this craziness and whatever. And another manager actually yelled at one time. It was Veterans Day, and they were saying how busy it was going to be, and I literally walked into like a shit show of everything needing to get done. And when people like who are above me are like stressing me out and like stressing about getting everything done, it causes me to get really stressed. And on top of not liking the job, not wanting to be there anyway, all this extra stress and like everyone freaking out, I just don't want to deal with it. So I kind of got into it with him too, and we yelled at each other also. And then I realized he was a veteran and the manager, and I kind of yelled and cursed out a veteran on Veterans Day at Applebees. And another story, literally another time of we yelled at each other, and then we were pretty close with each other at work afterwards. Like it was just like we never really got into it again. Like we both looked out for each other, kind of like we both like didn't want to piss each other off, kind of thing, where we talked to each other differently and keep everything, somewhat positive. And I just found that fascinating in restaurants. It always happened with me. I guess it's just like a normal thing, I guess. If someone doesn't quit, they stay there, but I don't know. So 2 managers I yelled at. Well, technically 3, because the one that wanted me to do dishes originally, I just yelled at him, and I never really talked to him again. He was there kind of when I was there, but not really all the time. And I just didn't really talk to him that much anyway. But yeah, like it was just another one where I hated the job. Everyone's like getting all stressed out, trying to make me more stressed, and I just didn't want to take it. I worked at an Applebee's inside of a mall, so during Christmas time, they were like renovating the entire area, like after Christmas. So they were like repainting everything, bringing in new tables, redoing the floors and ceilings and stuff in the front area. So every day they would like do work overnight, and then I would come in the morning and just clean, and then maybe prep. But usually, like I didn't prep around this time because I was told basically there was no prep hours for me because the Christmas time in the mall was over. So naturally, because we're in a mall, the restaurant got really slow after Christmas. So then I just did some oddball cleaning here and there. So for like a month and a half, I just cleaned. And then unfortunately, they didn't really have much for me afterwards. And I knew this was coming because they pretty much told me that like you'll have like 6 weeks of like cleaning work. And then from there, we don't know if we're going to have many hours for you. So I kind of saw it coming. But the last day, guys, wow. The last day working at Applebee's. Let me tell you, this was just a weird thing. So the manager that I got into the big fight with, the store manager, she just asked me to do a couple cleaning things. Like I said, we were on great terms at this point, and I was really shocked that I wasn't fired way before I officially was gone from the company. So she just asked me to do the random, like I would just come in and she'd tell me what to clean or whatever. I cleaned whatever she needed or they needed, and then they had like another corporate guy come in. I guess he was a corporate or / owner or someone who had some power there. And he was like walking around weirdly, talking to her, talking to me a little bit. And then like he'd open like some of the doors that lead outside. So like the handles of the doors, like the long handles, not like the door handles, but like the long like things you push for a door to open. He like touched it and he's like, "Oh, this is kind of gross. Can you clean this stuff?" Like he was kind of weird about it, but he was like, "Hey, think you can clean this?" And I'm like, "Sure." Because they had like crap on it, like not crap, but like something sticky and something gross is on it. So I wiped off as much as I could, and it took me a while to do it. And in the middle of doing that and talking to the manager and the corporate guy or whoever he was, one of the ladies, like one of the people who worked with us, she was a bit crazy. She couldn't get her car started, and she said she had to like go do something with her son or something. I don't remember. But she had like story after story of how crazy her life was. So she's like, "Oh, I need a jump." And I'm like, "I guess I'll do it." And I asked my manager, "Is that fine?" She's like, "Sure, like go out there and help her, I guess." I'm like, "I'll be right back." She's like, "No problem." So I specifically told this lady I will help her jump the car. And I told her what I needed her to do. Now, I can't exactly remember what the hell happened. She was in her car. I put my car on. I put the cables on, whatever. Like I did in the order that you're supposed to do it. So then when I go to put it on her car, I told her to wait until I told her I was ready. Like, don't start your car yet. I'll tell you when to do it. As soon as I connected her wires, she already started turning the car, and I could see it kind of sparking up. So I just let her try it a couple times, but I kind of yelled at her, like, yeah, whoa, wait, you gotta wait. And I clearly realized that she's one of these people that just doesn't listen to what you say. So she's like, the car's not starting. And I'm like, I didn't even get to try it properly. Like it wasn't connected properly. Like I didn't actually get to do it the proper way, because she literally was trying to turn a car on. She was trying to turn her car on as soon as I was hooking up the cables. And I saw it spark up, and I just said, screw this, I'm not helping her. So I let her do what she was doing. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I can't figure out why it's not working. Maybe it's something else. I don't know, but it's not working on my end. I knew why it wasn't working, because she was. So instead of trying to get electrocuted, I just said, sorry, I don't know what's wrong with your car. And I took my stuff and I went back inside, and legit was like kind of really annoyed at her, because like she almost electrocuted me, because she didn't listen to anything I said. I told her to wait till I tell her to turn her car over, or try to turn her car over. And she did it as soon as I started connecting the wires. So I just knew immediately, I'm not helping her anymore. I'm done. So then I went back inside. I did whatever cleaning I had to do. And then my manager, or the store manager, said, hey, can you just wait for your kitchen manager to come in, and he's going to talk to you about like hours and stuff, or he just needs to talk to you real quick about something. So I'm like, okay. So I had to wait like a half hour or something, because he came in at whatever time. So I finished cleaning early. So I just stuck around, hung out. And then he sat down with me and said, hey man, listen, we don't really have hours for you, man, right now. All the cleaning's done, because all the construction and all the renovations are done. We don't have any prep hours or anything. And he's like, it's nothing you did. You didn't do anything wrong, man. You're a great employee. Like I haven't heard of any issues with you. And I kind of sat there and thought, is this like a weird corporate thing where he's kind of messing with me? Or is he being serious? Because I never had issues with him. And he didn't have any issues with me. I knew that. But he's like, I haven't heard of any issues with you. And I'm like, I cursed off like 3 different managers. Another manager who I didn't really curse off, he was always stressed out, but like there was a point where I was always late every day, like 20 minutes, 45 minutes late every day. I didn't care. I wanted to get fired, right? And at one point he even said, I'm going to start rating you up. So I'm like, okay. And I was probably late still after that. But so for the kitchen manager to sit there and be like, I haven't had any problems with you. I haven't heard of any problems with you. No one's really said anything bad about you. You're not a bad worker. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, we just don't have hours. And I really sat there thinking, like, is he fucking with me? Is he messing with me? Like, I get that I'm not getting hours, but he's saying I have no issues. Like, I legit knew they didn't have hours for me. I knew that was true, because they really weren't that busy after Christmas, but no one told him anything that happened. I kind of didn't believe it, but then at the same time, I was like, maybe they didn't. Maybe he really didn't know. So he sat there and said, oh, I'll be a reference if you need to get another job, so best of luck to you. And I think it was around Valentine's Day, actually, this happened, or on Valentine's Day. And I actually had a couple shifts after this, and I asked him, like, should I even show up for my last shift, or is this it? He's like, don't even worry about it, man. But he said it in a way, it's like, yeah, don't even worry about it, man. And it's like, oh, okay. I mean, I could still make that shift to make some money, but whatever. I was like, and I literally got in my car, actually, and that was my last day. And I just smiled leaving that place, because I just never liked being there. I didn't like working there. And I was very happy to finally not have to go there anymore. And I just got a different job, so it all worked out. But it's funny that my last day literally involved one of the workers almost electrocuting me with their cars. Very funny. It's just trying to help someone jump their car, and they almost electrocuted me. That's hell of a last day to work somewhere. And to have like that corporate guy walking around saying, oh, clean this and clean that. Oh, can you do that for me? Oh, whatever, not a big deal. Like, it was just such a weird last day. People I never met before telling me to clean around, which I didn't mind. I was just cleaning to clean. That was my job at that point. But someone I never met before, talking to the one manager that I yelled at, technically, and then having me do some extra cleaning. Then a lady asked me to jump her car, and then almost electrocuting me. and then waiting around for like an hour for my other manager to show up just to let me go. Very, very weird last day. And, you know, looking back at the job, I hated it. I still hated it. And I would probably never, ever want to work for another corporation like that again, especially in the food industry. And just in general, I don't like working for corporations. That was like my second corporate job, because ShopRite's technically corporate. So out of those two corporate jobs, I've had my fill. Guys, big shout out to Chef Mike. We all have a Chef Mike. Shout out to Chef Mike, the microwaves of Applebees. I've never seen that many microwaves next to each other before, besides like a Walmart display stand. Holy cow, that's a lot of microwaves. Good job, Applebees. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I'm Dustin. I'll see you in the next one.